The Super Mario Galaxy movie hits theaters tomorrow, and I have my thoughts because everybody knows that a 43-year-old's opinion on this film is the most important. Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell here with my thoughts on the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which is the follow-up to the $1.3 billion hit that was the first Super Mario Bros. Movie. Like the first movie, this one is also directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, with a screenplay by Matthew Fogel, who also wrote the first film. Mario and Luigi are back, and if you thought you saw a lot of characters in the last movie, you literally ain't seen nothing yet. Nominally, the plot of the Super Mario Galaxy movie revolves around the rise of Bowser Jr., bizarrely voiced by Benny Safdie, as he seeks to free his father and finally conquer the Mushroom Kingdom. Surrounding that plot, we have Mario and Luigi, voiced once again by Chris Pratt and Charlie Day, who are now teamed up with Yoshi, voiced by Donald Glover, in the same way that George Clooney voiced the dog in South Park, in that you could never really tell it's Donald Glover because he just kind of makes nondescript Yoshi noises. I think they cast him because he was a big fan of Mario, and it helps to have another famous face on the publicity tour. We also have Anya Taylor-Joy's Princess Peach and her loyal sidekick, Keegan-Michael Key's Toad, who set out to rescue the kidnapped Princess Rosalina, voiced by, and this is a trigger warning for a very specific corner of the internet, Brie Larson. And then, of course, there's Jack Black's Bowser, who's tempted to return to his evil ways. Glenn Powell voicing a popular Nintendo character who's been revealed publicly, but isn't in any of the pre-release trailers, so I won't reveal him here. And a whole host of other side characters, bad guys, Koopas, and worlds from 40 years of Mario games. There is actually an interesting story at the heart of this movie, but the movie is about an inch deep. There are some huge revelations that would normally have taken, 5 to 10 minutes of screen time to deal with what it means to the characters, but that obviously wasn't the focus of Nintendo and Illumination with this film. It was to stuff as many characters and references into the 98-minute runtime of this film as possible, including during the 2 post-credit scenes, which promise more stories and more characters for what I'm sure is an inevitable third movie. But it is useless to quibble about the relative lack of depth in the story of this movie because that's not the intention. Its intention is to entertain a global audience of new Nintendo consumers, aka children, and to please adult fans with enough references to the games they grew up playing to clog a warp pipe. And on both of those accounts, I think the Super Mario Bros. Galaxy movie succeeds quite well. The critic screening I went to for this film was somewhat sparsely attended. I'd say there were maybe about a dozen of us, but one of the critics was able to bring their kid. And from what I saw coming out of the movie, that kid was all smiles. The guy was actually in front of me giving his reaction to the PR rep, and I was giving my reaction next. And he told the rep, he said, well, listen, I liked it, but he loved it. And that's the point. I think this movie is going to absolutely delight kids and probably ask their parents if they can go see them again. And I don't have any problem with that. I know that I have a very complicated relationship with Illumination movies, especially ones that feature the Minions. But what I will say about this film is that it is definitely for kids, but it's not juvenile. First of all, it looks fantastic. Like the first movie, this film leans heavily into the established Mario style, and it's incredibly colorful and vibrant, zipping between worlds that are all packed with detail. It's also very dynamic. The action sequences are exciting in their own right, and many of them also mimic the side-scrolling Mario that people of my generation know and remember, which means that it delivers scenes that operate on different levels for different generations. I'm sure that there are going to be some Mario jokes that the adults in the audience are going to chuckle at while they whiz over the heads of the kids in the audience. And it's an entertaining watch, and I mean that in the most literal sense of the word. I think I could actually enjoy watching this movie with no sound at all. The voice acting in general, I'd say, is good. It's ironic that in a franchise named after Mario, Chris Pratt's performance as Mario is the least memorable part of the film. I was a much bigger fan of Charlie Day's excitable take on Luigi, Keegan-Michael Key's dry take on Toad, Jack Black's continued energetic performance as Bowser, and Glenn Powell's performance as his mystery character, which I think he was the perfect fit for. Brie Larson is also a nice addition to the cast as this universe expands its princess roster. No matter which characters you enjoy the most, I guess one of the downsides of the movie is that you don't get a whole lot of time with any of them. The main cast is split up for the middle part of the movie, and we're often hopping around between their stories before everything converges again in Act 3. I get that there are multiple decades worth of characters and references to stuff into this movie, but I do think that the core group, Peach, Mario, Luigi, let's throw Yoshi in there, Toad, should be the focus of this movie. And instead, it seems like they're often trying to wrangle that focus from everybody else because the movie has a lot to do. You know, hey, we're in the Mushroom Kingdom. Oh, don't forget about Bowser. Here's Bowser's son. Anyway, let's go to the new princess that's being kidnapped. Oh, time to go to space. Let's go back to Mario and Yoshi, but they're kids now. Oh, now we got to go to a casino. You're jumping from place to place to place to place. It keeps it energetic. It keeps it dynamic for the kids. But I do think you lose a little bit if you're trying to get people attached to the main characters. And I understand that Nintendo has a very deep bench and that in-depth character development isn't the number one priority, but I do think that there's some value in giving these movies more than just momentary appeal that evaporates as soon as you leave the theater. The audiences who I think will enjoy this film the most are, in this order, kids, Nintendo superfans, parents who enjoy seeing their kids have fun, adults without kids who have played and enjoyed Nintendo or Mario games in the past, and finally, adults who don't have kids who also don't know anything or don't care about Mario, which to me says, well, why would you pay to see a Mario movie? The highest compliment I can give the Super Mario Bros. Galaxy movie is that if my nephew told me he wanted to go see it, there's nothing in the movie that would make me hesitate to take him, either content-wise or because I would dread sitting through it again. Like the first Mario Bros. Animated film, this is an average movie boosted by great design, a respect for the Mario characters and the franchise's fans, and a lot of enthusiasm from the voice actors involved. I actually went back to my thoughts on the first film after I typed up my thoughts for this film, and my opinion is pretty consistent between these two movies. Great style, weak script, kids will love it. The one thing that I didn't have when I reviewed the first Super Mario Bros. Movie is my rating scale. And if I'm being completely honest on what I think about the movie, which I am, I really can't go higher than a rating of it's fine. It's a high grade rating. You could maybe talk me up to an it's good rating on a generous day, but I have to acknowledge that number one, my opinion is not the most important opinion when it comes to this movie. And number two, kids and a lot of Nintendo super fans are going to like this movie a lot more than I do, which is completely fine. I'm not one of these people that's going to march up to a group of children laughing after this movie and say, you don't even understand who Mario is. Have you ever even heard of Captain Lou Albano? Ultimately, this is better than a lot of movies that are sold to kids, and I appreciate the craft and the thought that went into it. If just a little more work had been done on the scripts for both of these films, I think I can say that I would be in the audience loving it, along with so many of the other people in the audience, but still, it's not the worst thing in the world, and in fact, it's pretty entertaining. So those are my thoughts on the Super Mario Bros. Galaxy movie. What do you think? What'd you think of the first film? Are you looking forward to this one? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, stay tuned right here for the latest in movie news, reviews, box office, and more. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.